If you keep constantly failing and adapting and trying again and again, you will eventually get it right. Then just take the first step. The first step is the start of anything. If there's one thing that I'm really good at is the ability to fail. Sleep is extremely important. It took me a year to sell the first project, so it was very hard.
Welcome to Maximus Odyssey.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Maximus Odyssey. Today I'm here with the one and only David Semerád. He is, from my perspective, first of all, a father, a great entrepreneur, a CEO, a health leader, possibly a health freak for some of you. And I've been fortunate enough to join him in some of the activities, such as 4 a.m. mindset, dumping ourselves into cold water, doing crazy workouts from 3 a.m. till the end of the day. And yeah, David, it's my pleasure to welcome you on this journey of learning about how you tackle health, wealth, happiness.
Well, hey Max, super excited to be here. This is one of my favorite things in the world, is to talk about self-improvement, to talk about being active, how you can change your mindset and how you can be healthier. So this is the absolute best start of my day.
Amazing. You've founded quite a few companies, some very successful ones, including STRV, Kindest. First one is software development, second one helping, let's say, nonprofits fund their very important activities. And now with 4 a.m. Mindset and Mindzero, most importantly, changing the way we approach our physical and mental health. And it's really inspiring. Where did this drive for creation come for you? Where does it originate?
I never considered myself to be creative, and then I realized that I'm actually very creative. I just don't focus, or I don't let the creativity out in the most traditional way that people have it connected with, which is kind of like an artistic way. But I create companies, I create businesses that solve problems. So I almost sometimes feel like being like a Picasso that has a drawing board, and I think about problems, and I come up with solutions in forms of companies, and that's a very, very creative process that is very fulfilling. I don't know where it got started, where why I'm this way, because the first company, STRV, I didn't really start with an intention of starting a company. It sort of just happens, turned from a side project, just trying to make some money on the side when I was in high school. But now it's my passion.
Yeah. Sounds like it, that since you started, you haven't really stopped, other than some, let's say, unavoidable burnouts, but we can get to that later.
Sure.
Do you remember your first business, possibly? Because I just heard in one of your other podcasts that you taught your kids this side of entrepreneurship with a lemonade stand. So what was your first one?
True. Actually, the lemonade stand, that was something I'm really proud of, because as you mentioned, I am really happy that you listed me as a father as the first thing. And yes, I put a lot of emphasis on being a father. And I don't want to be too involved in the life of my kids, but I want to have some involvement, and inspiring them to think in an entrepreneurial way is something that I really enjoy. And this was like a couple months back. I was actually feeling pretty down. All of my aspects of my life were not in a great place, and I was thinking, so what can I do in order to step it up in all the areas? And one of them was being a good dad. And I was like, well, I always wanted to give them some kind of a lesson on entrepreneurship. So I was thinking about maybe sitting down with them and kind of explaining to them how companies work. But I was like, that's too boring. It's going to be so much more engaging to just have them do something. So I ordered a couple of stuff from Amazon, and we created this lemonade stand, made the lemonade together, and then went to a park to sell it. And I was amazed how well the kids reacted to it, because I was like, okay, kids, this is the task. You have the goal is to sell 10 lemonades minimum. And once you get that money, we'll split it in half, and you can go to Target. You can go to like a local store and buy some toys. So they were like super excited, super pumped. And the way they were approaching the intention, the action, you saw in them the way they were like running around and asking people in the park, like, "Hey, would you like to buy a lemonade?" It was they were more excited, and they approached it with more intensity than the sales teams that I worked with in all of my companies. So I was pretty impressed. So that
Amazing.
was that was the first business I did with my kids. When it comes to me, I don't really know if I've done anything before STRV. I think STRV was my first business where I just on the side was like making for fun. I was actually making like the class website in my high school, and just like was geeking out on doing different things on the computer. And then I realized I can make some money. And the most the most kind of like interesting thing I see when it comes to these beginnings, my very very first money I've ever made in my life
Mm.
was I went to jobs.cz, check portal where you can find some summer jobs and internships. And I actually saw this ad from a guy. His name is John Von Hara. And it's a Czech guy living in the US, and he just wanted some help with a website for his business. So I replied to it, and I actually helped him. And he sent me a check, like a regular, like American check. He sent me to the Czech Republic, where we are not used to processing checks. So I took it to the local bank, and they were like, "Well, we're not sure," and then they agreed to cash the check, and they kind of took like 40% off just for the processing fee. But that was my very first money that I made. And I actually just had coffee with him a couple days back. He lives now 5 minutes away from where I live. So I find it like in LA. So I find it like, how is that possible? My very first money I've ever made from someone who is like 3,000 miles away. And now we live so close together. And that was an intention.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, that's one of the beautiful things that your entrepreneurial journey brought you, right? Moving across the Great Pond from one of the, let's say, smaller countries of the world, Czech Republic, all the way to Los Angeles, California, in the United States. How did that happen?
I was running STRV. I believe we were like 20 students at that time. And I realized that it's going to be very hard to focus on the Czech market because it's very small. And success in that market, I always say, like, when you succeed in that market, after a couple of years, you can lease a car. And that's kind of like that's kind of the payback you get for working so hard and investing so much effort into it. And when you compare that with starting in a larger market and putting the same amount of effort, you get much more back. So I had that realization, and I saw this Czech government program that they offered to help companies expand their services to the US and different countries. So I applied, we got in, and in 2012 I moved to San Francisco, spent 6 months there, and I knew that this is the market for me, for STRV, and we started focusing on that. We took me a year to sell the first project, so it was very hard, but we did, and grew the company from 20 students to around 200 people.
That number has been kept pretty stable until today, right?
Yeah, but the company, even though like it had the size, so maybe like it was 150 at that time, but maybe the size just grew a little bit. But the company has changed drastically. Like when I was running it, it was just everything was new, not really optimized, no processes. Now the company is much more mature, sophisticated. There is a structure that makes sense. There is leadership. There is um, constant learning. When I was running it, it was more just like, oh my God, let's try to attack these projects together.
Yeah, exciting times. Now, your co-founder Lubo Smith is the CEO there, right?
Yes, he is, and he was when he joined, like, I knew that he could take over, and as soon as I felt like it was the right time, we switched roles. Well, I mean, he became the CEO, and I was
Mhm.
focused on internal innovation, and he's done really, really good stuff at the company. Like, he really turned it around. It's so much more effective, so much more optimized in terms of the revenue, in terms of like profits. It's like, yeah, he's done. And in terms of, like, how people are managed, how people are, um how much we spend on time and effort on making sure that people have the right care and, like, education benefits and stuff. So yeah, he's been like, kind of, he's taken the something that I started, and he turned that into something real.
It's been a real, let's say, pleasure and exciting experience to be able to help him out and the team for a couple of months with the launching of the Next Level show, or now called the Lubos Meet podcast, with the second season. Definitely would recommend to other listeners to check it out. Yeah, like STRV is really in the forefront of, let's say, not only European technology, like with today building apps for Arnold Schwarzenegger. Back then you did like Tinder, Boosted, the electronic skateboards, just to name a few. Microsoft. Very, very well done, guys. That's
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So how was that? How was the transition of, let's say, I guess you, as it was a chaotic big company, I only know very little about, let's say, the potential like burnout that happened there, or some overworking, I suppose. Uh, was that the moment that you knew that you need to like change how the company is led, or what was the process like of, let's say, letting go of the reins, and what was the reason for that?
Well, when I started, I had no experience in terms of how to manage a company. So I had, like, indirectly or directly like over 100 people reporting to me, which
Mm.
was, and people say like 7 is the max. Like, so that wasn't optimal, and that led to a burnout. And immediately I came back, and I was like, okay, well, something needs to change. So two things changed. Well, first, we implemented a structure of a company that actually makes sense,
Mhm.
as opposed to the one we had. And second, I really started to think about the way I take care of myself. And that's probably where you can say that the starting thoughts regarding Mindzero have, like, I planted some seeds. I would say the experience planted some seeds in terms of me thinking of Mindzero and how important it is to live an active life that also includes a lot of self-care.
You pinpointed that, the beginning of Mindzero. So if you could give me a little bit of the vision and, let's say, philosophy behind your latest company, which I understand is your, uh, let's say, latest baby, even though you already have 3 actual children, right? Uh,
Sure.
with the company, what's the, what's the drive, the mission, the vision there?
Well, as I said, it started by me thinking of my personal mental health, or, like, the way I take care of my mind, not just my body. Like, I've been pretty active in terms of, like, working out pretty much my whole life, but
Mhm.
I haven't really been into mindfulness or into just taking a break. I would always work, 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 and what happened is, when I moved to the US in 2012, I really missed saunas. In the Czech Republic, I would go quite often, and in the US, I couldn't really find any good places to go. And second, I went to a Wim Hof seminar, and I saw, like, how the cold plunges were beneficial, and I felt so good. But I didn't feel like I felt like there could be, like, a more streamlined experience, like more like a mainstream way, more accessible. I would say more accessible way
Mhm.
of everything together. And then I had this idea of just creating a group class from saunas and cold plunges, and, like, taking people back and forth, and adding, like, some breath work, pretty much everything that has an impact on the nervous system, to to implement that into one class. And probably the best is kind of to describe it from a perspective of like some of our members that go to our studio. So if people like who have families and they also have very intense work, and then you have a choice. Like, for example, after you spend 8 hours working, then what do you do? Like, do you go home and you sort of just, when you're totally tired, you sort of just like finish your day by not really being there for your family, just kind of like doing the absolute minimum just to get the day over with? Or
Mhm.
do you go for an hour to Mindzero? You completely reset, like you get like a dopamine boost from the cold water. You get a mental reset from going back and forth and kind of a contrast therapy. And then you go back to your family and you're like completely different person. Like you have more energy than when the day started, and you can really give it your all. So that's kind of what we offer, is so like a very, very accessible way of a mental reset relaxation. Should be no longer than like 10 minutes from your work, your house, and you can either get the day started with that and like have a kick-ass energy that's going to help you get through the day, or it's going to be sometimes in the middle of the day, or we also have classes that help you prepare for bed and prepare for sleep. So we kind of adjust the classes based on the time
Mhm.
of the day.
That's amazing. Uh, I saw that a lot of your say protocols are inspired by what Stanford's professor Andrew Huberman shares in his content. Like the cold exposure, increasing your dopamine 2.5 times over a period of multiple hours, which is much better than any type of drug that can spike it to double in a few seconds. But then you're dealt with the consequences. Where with the cold exposure and heat, it's a much more natural way of getting all of those hormones flowing through you, but actually in a productive manner, in a manner that helps you, not destroys you. What's been the, let's say, medical reasoning behind your processes?
Yeah, there's been a lot of studies on cold plunges and saunas, and we have both. So all the benefits like increased level of alertness, up to
Mm.
250% boost in dopamine, um, stress reduction. Those are all things that we include. But also we had our own clinical study done actually on the Mindzero experience when we put those things together, because we have a proprietary way of running the classes, and
Mhm.
we increased a 92% efficiency when it comes to stress reduction, which was higher than some of the leading drugs for calming anxiety, and without the side effects. So we're pretty happy about being able to offer an alternative to drugs, either over the counter drugs or like a social kind of drugs like alcohol. We I understand that when you have a busy day, grabbing a beer, grabbing a couple drinks, that is like the fastest way to relax as you know it. But Mind Zero really comes as an alternative to that lifestyle, where you don't have to use any chemical drugs or alcohol in order to relax. You can really join one of our classes, and along with other people, you can just achieve a more relaxed state than you would with some of the drugs.
Amazing. A much needed, especially among the, let's say, opioid epidemics and all of the, let's say, dangers of today's world we are encountered on a daily basis. The social media, like constantly, trying to steal our attention and our dopamine. Uh, it's a really beautiful way of cleansing and starting new.
Thank you.
I'm really inspired by the way you used your personal, I'd say, negative experiences and what helped you, and turn that into the actual business that you're now most focused on. Uh, would you like, have you gone through a certain process? Was it natural? I'm thinking, for all the listeners right now, each one of us has a lot of entrepreneurship ideas. There were, uh, a million Ubers, I'm sure, in people's heads. But how does one approach building a lifestyle, let's say, business, but not necessarily, like the business that maintains my lifestyle, but something that really pours my body, mind, and soul into creating something that can help others.
I have been like the first company I started, STRV. It wasn't really something that I intentionally did in terms of entrepreneurship. It sort of happened as a
Right.
side gig, like just trying to make some money in high school. And then as it started growing, I was like, oh well, it seems like it's going to be a company. And I remember like sitting down with my CTO, my co-founder Martin. He was like, when we started working together, he was like 13. He was very young. And I think I was 16 when we first got together. And I remember like sitting down with him, asking him like, "Hey, I think that STRV is going to become like a it was called something else at that time, but it's going to become like a serious business. Like, is that something that you want to do?" And he said, "Yes." I'm like, "Okay, good." So that was the only like time when I remember that I actually gave it some thought whether I want to do it or not, but it sort of just happened, right? So then when I stepped down from STRV, I was like, oh, first I was like jealous of all the people who have the ability to choose what they want to do, because I sort of like happened to do this, and I was like kind of stuck with that voluntarily or non-voluntarily for 14 years. So then when I stepped down and I handed it over to Lubo, I was like, oh my God, now I can do whatever I want. And it was actually very stressful because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I, as a part of STRV, I was kind of running the innovation lab. We had millions of ideas, and I, had a hard time choosing what's going to be the best. In the end, I chose Kindest and built this software for nonprofits, and then handed it over to a CEO that had like much more experience from the space. But in terms of like inspiring other people to be able to start companies, or like whatever kind of companies you want to start, like getting the first steps is the most important, right? Like when I started Mindzero, I didn't start it as like, oh well, it's going to be a $1 billion business. I actually realized that after the first pop-up. But how it started is like, first an idea, like you have an idea in your head. Then I talked to many people about the idea. Actually, Lubo was one of the first people I approached, and I wanted to execute it and like do like a pop-up, but didn't have time or just kind of postpone it. And then I talked to more and more people, and then one of the people I met actually at this 75-hour challenge called the Modern Day Night Project. He was like, "Oh, I'll help you with that." His name was Bill, and then I was like, "Okay, so what are the first steps? How can we test out this idea?" So basically, we thought about, well, we need the cold plunges, we need the sauna, and we need to like figure out like how we're gonna take people back and forth. So we just kind of had a couple of calls where we kind of brainstorm, and then we're like, okay, we need to get the sauna, we need to get the cold plunges. So we just look at local stores and bought like a big a plastic tub for the cold plunge, and then for the sauna we ordered this Siberian made sauna tent that you could just put together. There was like a wood fire stove in it, so you just put regular firewood in it, and boom, we had a couple $100 worth of investment. We had all the equipment we needed. And then it was like, okay, well, what's the second thing we need? We need people, right? So I was like, well, how do we get people to come to test it? So where are the people that could potentially want to try this? Well, since it's a lot focused on recovery, we were like, well, maybe we'll just go to local gyms. So we just went to local gyms, like, door to door. I remember like knocking on the doors and saying like, hey, my name is David. We're launching this new pop-up, like this new business. We just wanted to ask if we could invite your members here to come to the pop-up. And some of the gyms said, absolutely not. And some of them said, sure, go ahead. And we got about 70 people that signed up, and 50 of them showed up. And the absolute like most important critical reason why I decided to run Mindzero full time and just kind of dedicate my life to it, or at least the next 7 to 10 years, was when from those 50 people that showed up, 32 of them actually requested a membership. I spin out like a quick checkout page on Stripe to get like people's credit card information to make sure that their interest is real. and we got 32 of people that pre-signed up for a membership, which was insane to me, based on a couple $100 worth of investment. And I was like, this could be a huge business. This could really help a lot of people around the world, and decided to run full time. But see, like those are the little steps that you need to take in order to get something off the ground. And I just think that if you share these stories, like how easy it is to actually test something, maybe like reading the book called The Lean Startup, right, of which showed you that you don't really need much technology to test something. So that's the way to test out any of the ideas that you have in your head.
Validate. Ideas living in your head are worth nothing unless you actually test them out. I have so many questions, and we have so little time. So, okay, one more around Mindzero. Like, it's becoming a real trend, right? In terms of like going through these, let's say, crazy experiences. Crazy being just out of the today's, let's say, 9 to 5 typical lifestyle, where people are going either for crazy hikes, ultra running, doing cold exposure, or even like some pain related activities. It's really interesting that it's like becoming a trend now. But if we look, let's say, thousands of years back into ancient Stoic philosophers, for example, from ancient Greece, or the emperors there, a lot of the core sayings and books were around like, go jump in a river in the morning before you start your day, so that you are ready for whatever may come towards you later. How do you view this, let's say, new trend, but also potentially like lost knowledge that's coming back?
That's a very interesting analogy, and it's true. Like I find fascinating, like when I read the Daily Stoic book, where you have like a one Stoic quote.
Oh, nice, me too.
Yeah, it's a great one, right? So Marcus Aurelius, and like his wisdom seems like he knew more about life than I know now, 2,000 years later. So the question is why that is, and to me, it's fascinating why. And I think it's because emotionally we go through the same journey when we are born, and we have to kind of like get to it on our own. It's our own path. It's not something that you can like that, like when your dad learns that like it's not like he can give you that, like it's not like encoded in your DNA. Like you have to like emotionally get to it, like in terms of like how you value life, how you value other people, how important materialistic things are to you, and what's love. You have to, because it's part of it is experience, and experience is not transferable. So I look at it as Mindzero is not really that innovative when it comes to the individual the modalities or the concept. You're right. Like, we are, and I always say, like, we are just benefiting from the hundreds of years or thousands of years of old um, European traditions, or like, ancient traditions that we are just implementing into like a modern way for people to access. And I really think that with the focus on like reflection and self-improvement, we can help people a lot, because it looks like you cannot really get to people individually when you have a scale, but I think you can, because people go through the same motions for thousands of years emotionally. And if you know that, if you're aware of that, you can target the self-reflection parts of the bit of the programming to kind of have them realize and think individually while you're guiding them as a group.
Not just the evolutionary experience, let's say, of a species, but it's a human experience for each one of us. Very, very interesting. Another thing that I find really, let's say, inspiring about you is your confidence. Like at the 4 a.m. mindset thing, I have the documents here where we in pitch black started doing like push-ups and things of that nature, and you're like screaming at everybody, let's go, let's go, let's go. or dancing in the middle of a crowd with seemingly not a worry in the world. How, and assume that you didn't, you weren't born that way. How did you build up this confidence to just let it out in terms of emotions and expression, and starting these activities?
That's a really good question. I actually thought about it when I was. I didn't think about it that much when I was running the Forum and Mindset event. I thought about it more when I was when I was invited to speak at a Forbes event in Prague called the Next Big Thing, and I wanted to do something really interesting with the crowd. I wanted to kind of engage them and kind of have them do some of the activities that we've done at the Forum event. And I was thinking about it like I think the morning or the day before, and I was thinking about it. I was thinking like, whoa, like the Forum event, like people went because they wanted to do something crazy. They wanted to do something with me. So it was much easier to control the crowd or like, to tell people what to do and to stand there in front of them. Well, when it comes to going somewhere where people have no idea about you and what you do, and they didn't sign up for that, I was thinking like, wow, the chance it's not going to work. What I'm going to ask the crowd to do is very high, and I might fail. And I just rationally thought about it, and then I was like, well, yeah, well, I guess my identity is about is doing challenging things that kind of push you out of your comfort zone. So it's almost like a muscle. It's a skill, right? Like it's when you sort of like learn to do these things, then you just want to keep doing it. So like being on stage could look very scary to some people because they are not used to it. They're like they don't they what about if I fail? What about if it's like if the crowd doesn't react the way I want or something? But it's about if you start doing it, I've spoke in front of people so many times when I was running STRV. Like we would have so many all hands, and once you get used to it, you just get used to the fact that you can fail and it can be bad sometimes, and you do it regardless.
If I'd have to sum it up, it's practice. Just keep doing it until you get good at it and stop caring as much about the outcomes because you've experienced a wide variety of them, and just trusting the process. It's okay to fail. You always learn. It always pushes you forward.
Yeah, like the failing part. Like if there's one thing that I'm really good at is the ability to fail. I failed so many times, and I almost thrive in it. I'm almost enjoying the process when I fail, and that just helps you so much because whenever there's something new, you're like, oh, whatever. If I fail, I fail, and I almost identify as someone who is totally okay to fail. And there's a lot of research that shows that it's problematic for kids to identify as successful because then you don't want to risk doing activities that can potentially get you out of that. So if you identify as someone who fails things, then you're like, oh, whatever. Yeah, let me try this. Let me try that. There's a certain limit to it. Like I was asked to play drum in one of our sessions in our first studio, and I'm really like I have no musical experience. I've never really never played an instrument, and it was so bad. I did like such a bad job. I was so embarrassed, and which would be fine because that's part of the failing process. But I just felt like I kind of ruined the class for other people because of my inability to play the drum. There should be some limits, and I think over there I really went beyond the limit.
Cool. And how do you recover from a failure?
Well, I love to do the things that I'm really bad at. So for me, I instantly was thinking, oh my God, I would love to learn to play the drums. And now I would be like really excited if I had an opportunity and the time to actually take a lesson from someone who is experienced.
Yeah. So every failure is an opportunity to learn to do better.
Absolutely. If I could use all my time being focused on the things where I'm really bad at and learn, like I would absolutely love that. The only issue with that is that's not where you can make money because no one's going to pay you for being bad at something. So it needs to be a combination of the things that you're passionate and good at and the things that you're passionate and bad at, and you can combine it into life.
Absolutely. What you've done very, let's say, publicly, and another thing I think people can be inspired by is your discipline. You oftentimes wake up very early, work out basically every day, unless the family calls, and you're really dedicated to your craft in terms of both the health side, the wealth side of getting your to-do list done, involving investors, crushing it in that sense, uh, and also happiness, like taking care of yourself in the mental realm, let's say. Uh, so how do you do that? How do you build discipline?
Well, that's the one thing that I'm really bad at, I would say.
Really?
Yeah, like if you would look like I organize a couple of habit improving challenges, and if you would look at the data is available, I can share with you how poorly
Hmm.
I've done. I poorly I've did like in both of them. It takes me so long, and I fail so many times when I'm trying to improve a new habit. And it takes me so long. Like for example, there've been things like I wanted to give up snacks and eat less sugar, and it took me over a year since I was actually able to do anything about it. There are things which I still haven't done. Like I really want to be um, I really want to have some kind of a social media strategy, and it's been like at least 4 years since I
Hmm.
thought of doing something in that space, and I haven't done anything. Um, so discipline
Maybe
is
I can help
something I
with that one.
struggle with. I really struggle with that,
Mm,
uh, and I am running these challenges that actually are focused on the discipline that
yeah.
help me to get a little better at it. Like yes, for example, like getting up every day at 4:30. That's something that I also, that was natural to me. It forces
Mhm.
you to go to bed early because sleep is extremely important. Sleep is like one of the most basic things, like one of the most important things, like in all the routines or in all the things that you can improve in your life. So I have to go to bed around like 8:30 in order to get enough sleep. For that, in order, you have to give up alcohol because if you drink, then it's hard to get to bed at 8:30. So there has been like it's been a slow process, but after a while, if you basically, the answer to your question is like, how do I get to a certain level of discipline where I'm at, which is still absolutely not where I want it to be,
Mhm.
is I keep trying and I keep failing up until I I get something right. So like the 4:30 wake up took me a while. And you know what? Then I basically solved one problem. Then I had another one, which was I would get up at 4:30. I would wake up, and then I would like spend an hour or two in bed just on Instagram or like scrolling on the phone. So then I had to implement a new habit, which is hey, when you get up, first of all, jump out of the bed and say that you're excited to live another day at 4:30, which is not that easy. Um, and second, I started like I don't look at my phone for the first 30 minutes of my day. I go and read now. I used to
Mhm.
do cold plunge. Now I change that, move that a little back in the day. But now I read in the morning, and so that also took me some time. Like after getting to that wake up, then not being able to get out of bed actually. So yeah, if you keep constantly failing and adapting and trying again and again, 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 you will eventually get it right.
Hell yeah. Love that approach. Just uh and do you change the way you're trying to achieve that thing, or just because like that's the definition of insanity, I think, by Einstein, right? Like keep doing the same thing again and again, expecting a different result.
Yeah, sometimes you have to change your approach. Sometimes you just try again. Like when I had this challenge where I wanted to be on time for every single of my calls,
Hmm.
and I failed so many times. I was so frustrated, but I didn't really have to change anything. I just have to be more aware of time. So the approach was the same, which is like I get up and I tackle the day like I want to be on time with every single thing on my calendar. And if I fail, I get frustrated and I try again the next day.
Cool. So our lovely discussion is running to an end. So I'd love to use this last few moments if there's anything you'd like to recommend to the, I suppose, mostly young professional audience that's currently listening.
I've just recently started reading Dino's Forbidden book. He's the founder of Life is Porn, and he's been one of the speakers at the 4am event. And he said, I think he says in the book that even someone who has millions of followers on Instagram had to start with a first follower, had to start with the first post. And that really resonates with me. It's like, don't you think that, like, if someone is, I don't know, Elon Musk, a billionaire that, is running multiple successful companies, you just look at it and you're like, oh my God, Tesla is worth a couple billions. It's so successful. I will never get there. Well, he had to start somehow, right? He had to start with something. There was some first action that he had to take in order to get there. So think of whatever that is. Like, that doesn't have to be entrepreneurial. It can be like, you want to be a better parent, you want to be a better, I don't know, athlete, whatever that is. To just take the first step, and think of your motivation in order to take the first step. Like, if it's too scared to do it on your own, like, find a friend that you can, like, tell about it, what you want to do, and do it together. And but taking the first step is the start of anything.
Thank you so much. This has been
Thanks, Max.
such a pleasure, David. Always is. Yeah, when it's ready to be posted, I'll send you the details, and I wish you the absolute best of luck and growth. Hope to talk to you again soon. Oh, actually,
Sounds
in
great.
90 minutes on our sync.
True.
That's
Sounds
nice.
great. Thank you, Max. Really appreciate your time, and thanks for having me here. It was fun to talk with you about
Thanks
this.
so much.
You asked me really good questions.
I appreciate that. Always
Right.
getting better. Okay, talk to you soon.
Now, subscribe so you don't miss out on the next episode, and please share this with your friends if you think this could help them.